Today we reflect on a profound truth. The cause of God has always advanced not only through the spreading of new messages, but through opposition and persecution. From the days of Christ to the dawn of the Bab, resistance and hostility have served as the very fuel that carried the divine message forward. The principle of opposition. Abdu'l-Baha once explained in words recorded during the pilgrimage of May, Bolus Maxwell in 1899. Remember, should the slightest trouble or pain afflict you, do not complain, but rather give thanks, and see in it the mercy of God. The more the diamond is polished, the greater its brilliancy, and the more it is cut, the more precious the stones. If there had been no opposition to the prophets of God, they would not have been established. If there had been no opposition to Christ, the light of his religion would not have shone. If there had been no opposition to Baha'u'llah, his greatness would not have been made manifest. If there had been no opposition to this cause, it would not have passed beyond the gate of Shiraz. Therefore, oppose not the divine purpose, and know that tests and trials are for the sole purpose of causing the soul to progress. This principle is clear. Opposition is not a sign of failure, but of divine progress. Jesus and the Pharisees. 2,000 years ago, Jesus stood before the Pharisees and Sadducees. They demanded a sign. The Gospel records. Then certain of the scribes and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Master, we would see a sign from thee. But he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. Matthew 12:38-39. Jesus did not appease them. Instead, he exposed their hypocrisy and foretold his own execution. From that moment onward, his words set the stage for the conflict that followed. Yet the very cross they prepared became the cause of his triumph. Centuries later, the Prophet Muhammad spoke to his uncle Abbas about the golden-faced one, the promised Qa'im. Al-Nu'mani records in Ghaybat Nu'mani, Volume 1, page 254, ذاك الذي وجهه كالدينار وأسنانه كالمنشار وسيفه كحريق النار يدخل الجبل ذليلا ويخرج منه عزيزا يكتنفه جبرئيل وميكائيل. ثم التفت إلى العباس فقال: يا عم النبي، ألا أخبرك بما أخبرني به جبرائيل؟ فقال: بلى يا رسول الله. قال لي جبرئيل: ويل لذريتك من ولد العباس. Translation: The one whose face is like a gold dinar, whose teeth are like a saw, and whose sword is like burning fire, enters the mountain humiliated and emerges from it mighty. He is encompassed by Gabriel and Michael. Then he turned to Abbas and said, O uncle of the Prophet, shall I tell you what Gabriel informed me? Abbas replied, Yes, O messenger of God. The Prophet said, Woe to your descendants from the children of Abbas. Abbas understood and jokingly remarked that he should have fewer children, acknowledging that some of his descendants might become the mujtahideen who would assail the golden-faced one, the promised Qa'im, historically fulfilled in the Bab and the mujtahids. Centuries later, the Bab declared his mission in Shiraz. Like Christ, he faced fierce opposition. The Bab was imprisoned in the mountains of Azerbaijan by the descendants of Abbas as the symbolic religious elite, the embodiments of theocracy intended by a public display of execution, extinguished the fire of his cause. Like the Sadducees of old, they believed by silencing him they could preserve their authority. Yet their opposition became the force that spread his cause beyond Shiraz to the entire world. Parallels between Christ and the Bab. Consider the parallels. Jesus called out hypocrisy. The Bab unveiled corruption. Jesus foretold his death. The Bab foretold his own martyrdom. Both stood before councils of learned men. Both were condemned by their own people. Both, through opposition, saw their cause carried far beyond their native city. The divine law of growth. Through tests, Abdu'l-Baha's words show us that tests and trials are not punishments, but instruments of progress. Coal becomes diamond under pressure. faith becomes radiant when tested by fire. Thus, opposition is not accidental. It is a divine law, ensuring that the cause of God will never remain hidden. Without the opposition of Shiraz, the Bab's message would never have reached Tehran, Baghdad, and the wider world. The cause of God advances through opposition and persecution. The Pharisees thought they ended Jesus, yet his spirit filled the world. The Mujtahids thought they buried the Bab, yet his cause blazed across nations. What appeared to be defeat was in truth the divine instrument for the victory of God's cause.